Saxon Algebra 1, final exam review. I already recorded this once, you guys, and I ran into some technical drama. So I'm just going to work from my notes and talk you through it in a new recording. Okay, so first I want to tell you what the exam will look like, which it would look exactly the same if we had been meeting all this time. Sorry, Gracie's mad at the guys building the fence outside. She's doing her job. The format of the exam is exactly the same as it would be. The only thing that's different is the logistics of how I deliver it to you. Everything will be exactly the same as it was in spring break when we had our first COVID exam. Grace, are you okay? Is everything all right? Good girl. Good girl. Okay, ready. 10 questions. 5 points each, just like we've done before. As you know, you need to show all the formulas, equations, and calculations in order to get full points, right? Just getting the right answer will not earn you all 5 points. You need to show how you got it, right? Sometimes students ask, yeah, but how much do you want me to show? Do you want me to write down 8 times 5 equals 40? And I almost said 30. That would have been really funny, wouldn't it? And the answer to that is no. Use my presentation as a model for your own, right? I don't write down my times tables when I show you how to work a problem. Use that format, what I do, as your guide. And in fact, I don't say that often enough, but that's a really basic assumption I make, is that you understand that what I'm writing down is, and the way I write down a problem is the way I want you to do it too. All the formatting and the way, I write this on the right side and this on the left side, all of that is there I do that all for a reason. So when in doubt, copy my presentation style. Okay, take the test at your class time, 1 p.m. That's when I want you to take it, is at your usual starting time. I will deliver the test to your house around noon. I'll work out the delivery and the pickups mostly with the moms, but you can expect that it will get to your house around noon, and then I'll pick it up from your front porch around 2. Same method, you can just shove it out there and I'll pick it up. Call or text me if you need more time. It's not a problem if you want more time. I will just arrange my drive to allow you a little bit more time. At the same time, call or text me if you have any questions during the testing process. I will try to stay on top of my email. I don't get notifications on my email, which normally is good, but during the test, I want to be really prompt in responding to you. And that's why I control the times of this as much as I do, because when my students are taking their tests, I'm going to be sitting at my dining room table with my copy of the test in front of me, working the problems and keeping a close eye on my phone so that I'm available for anything you might need. So that's why I want us all to be working at the same time. Then the other reason I want to keep the time frame tight is because I want to get back to you with your grade really quickly. I will grade them and then get back to you as soon as possible. I'm thinking, by dinner time that night. So hopefully within a few hours, we'll have everything wrapped up. If you end up with a score of less than 80%, I don't see that happening. You guys have been really strong on these tests. That's 40 out of 50 points. But if you score a little lower, I may ask you to do some additional work. And there's a method to my madness. If you score fairly low, in that 80%, if you score close to an 80% and you're just losing a point here or there, you're just using a couple points here and there just because of, I don't know, you drop a minus sign, you forget, you get a formula wrong, just some little sloppy things. I am more inclined to say, you were just having an off day, it's not a big deal. However, if there are problems that you just kind of blank on and get like a 0 or a 1 on, I'm more likely to go back and say, hey, let's have you give this type of problem another shot. And here's why. I want you going into summer break feeling confident, self-assured, knowing that you are a very strong math student and that this year has prepared you well for what's coming next year. I want you to step out into your break with that position of strength in your mind. If your score is close to an 80% and it was because you bombed some questions, you're more likely to not have that attitude. You're more likely to think, I suck at that kind of problem. I really never did get it. I'm dumb. I'm lame at math. And I don't want any negative vibes, right? If your score is relatively low and you just think, I had a bad day, I made silly mistakes, I know how to do that, then that's different. So that's part of what I keep in mind as I'm trying to decide whether a student should do extra work or not. Okay, in addition to that work, there's two more things that I want you to give to me, and I will remind you of this when I bring you the test. The first thing is your assignment checklist page. This thing, right? You have this started after Christmas, and you will have had your parents signing, right, in these spaces. And I bet they're not all done. I bet you didn't get a chance to finish them. My parents don't have to sign mine. I'm exempt from that clause. But I will ask you to give me this piece of paper back, and I want it signed all the way down to the very end that your parent has reviewed and checked in. I'm guessing you might be behind in this, which is, I understand. But I want to tell you about that right now because I want you to I want your parent to have some time to catch up, because this is a fair amount of work to actually do this properly, to look through your notebook and make sure that you're getting the lessons done and checking each one to 100%. So get to work on this. Make sure your parents have time to do that. And then the other thing is that I'll be giving you some review problems here. These check marks that I made mean that we have had a review problem on them since spring break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 weeks worth of new lessons that I have not given you a review problem on. And I really want you to have the review problems. So I'll be giving you a different page with 5 review problems for you to work. I mean, it might be 2 pages, and I will have you do that before you give the test back to me. Now, what that means technically is that your test is 15 problems long. Yikes, that's a lot, isn't it? But anyway, that's fine. You'll figure it out. So I want you to get all of that back to me at the same time you give me the test. I'll have the envelope for you so you can just go from there. Okay, now what's going to be on the test? Cover it up. Here's the lesson number. Here's the description of what's in it. Remember that some lessons have multiple topics. So pay attention to that. And then what I'm going to do over here in the margin is give you either a Y means yes, this could be on the test. If I say no, and I think I say that, either with the letter or the word no. I think I wrote it out, no, for you guys. That means I promise you 100% that lesson will not be on the test. Okay, so the no's you can just scratch off and not even think about. The yeses mean you should know how to do this kind of problem because it might be on the test. And then just to introduce a little variety into our lives, I also have a few lessons that I ranked a maybe. I don't know what that means because my yeses are not definite, but whatever. All right, so I'm going through now from most recent backwards through the lessons and giving you a heads up on what's there. Lesson 120, Fox and Whiskers, no. It's not important enough to warrant a question. Lesson 119, the quadratic formula. Yes, I promise you. This asterisk means I promise you it will be there, all right? So I'm telling you yes, but I'm also starring it saying it is prime territory for the test. 118, completing the square. Oh, these two together, yes, 100%, expect it. Direct and inverse variation squared. That's 117. You'll see I've got arrows. I'll just jump down. Lesson 113 is direct and inverse variation. This is the squared, this is the plane. 113 and 117. I will have probably, I put yes by both of those. I will have one problem, either a squared version from 117 or the regular kind from 113. I won't have more than one problem on that topic, okay? 116, the quotient rule for square roots. Yes, fair game. 115, linear inequalities. That's where you're drawing the dot or the dash and then you're shading one side or the other. Maybe. Yes, let's study that. 114, exponential growth. Yes, that's fair game. I will point out that the vast majority of the time in my program, I hope you guys have remembered this, we don't use calculators, right? We calculate in our head so that we don't get fat and lazy. We work out our brains so they stay strong. However, there are some problems like the exponential growth problems that require a calculator. You can't calculate the exponents in your head. So if we do this kind of problem on the test, I'm telling you to study it, then I will remind you that you can use your calculator. I'll probably text you during the test. What will I do? I don't know. Maybe I'll post-it note your test and say you can use your calculator. Direct and inverse variations we talked about. Multiplying radicals, 112. Yeah, that's fair game. That's where you've got the binomials and we have to rationalize the denominator. All I could think of was radicalizing, isolating the radical, but no, that's not what I mean. Rationalize the denominator, that's that. 111, I'm calling it a maybe. It's the conjunctions and the disjunctions. It's the straight lines where you either circle it or you dot it. Maybe. 110, nonlinear functions with the shifts, right? That's where we're drawing like the cubic thing or the absolute value, and then we're shifting them in different ways. Maybe. 109, this one has a star, which means bet the ranch. There's going to be one of these. It's advanced factoring, where we take the middle term and we split it into two, and then we factor the pairs of terms. I love those. 108, radical. When I say I love them, these starred ones, what I'm really saying is they represent such a powerful combination of steps and tools and concepts that when you complete a problem like that, you're really showing me a huge amount of mastery. That's why I love them, is because they demonstrate so many different skills. And that's what makes me like those problems so much, and that's what makes me want them on the test, is that when you do this work, you're showing me you understand all kinds of really cool things. Radical equations. This is isolating the radical. 108, these are the ones where you have to check your answer, and if we put those, I will tell you in the instructions, check your answer. 107 and 106 are a pair of lessons that are both about linear equations. It's about the trick of how parallel lines have the same slopes. It's about how you can take a pair of points and use them to solve for m using the slope formula. I'll probably have I started, so that means I mean it for sure. I'll have one of the styles of problems from 106 and 107 that test those great graphing skills. Those are super important too. 105, factoring by grouping. No, I will not have this because this is what we use in lesson 109 in advanced factoring. So this is already covered by that, so we won't test 105. 104 is abstract rational equations. It's where we have, a whole alphabet full of letters dumped into our math problem, very few numbers, and there's an equal sign. So we're not just simplifying. What we're doing is we're solving for one of the letters, but the problem has to tell us which letter. There's no way we could possibly know. So that's what those are. And I think that's it. Yes. So there are your list of topics to studies. There's a few you can drop. There's a couple that are clearly lower priority. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 yeses. 10 problems. That gives you a pretty crisp idea of what to study. Now, how do you study this? What do I want you to do for homework? Okay, the first thing I want you to do is identify your weak areas, if you will. Everyone has weak areas. That's not a flaw. And obviously, you don't need to spend as much time studying your strengths as you do your weak areas. How do you know what your weak areas are? Well, I'll tell you the easiest way to figure it out. Ignore this for now. I'm over here. Think of your homework. What are the kinds of problems that you hate to do? You know the ones I mean. When you see them, you go, another one of these, and you roll your eyes and you think about going to get a snack, or you get distracted by the dust bunnies under your bed. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. They're those problems that just make you feel like you're annoyed. That probably means you're not as strong at those problems, because the problems that we're really good at, we tend to be like, oh yeah, okay, I can do this one. It's the ones that we hate that tend to be the ones we're weak at. So, I mean, I'm sorry to have to say this, but those are the ones you probably need to work on more. What do you do once you identify your weak areas? Work the examples in the matching lessons, okay? You can go back to any of the videos and look at those again. I work the examples, or you can just skip right into the book and do the examples as they're laid out at the front of each lesson. Why work the examples? Because they have the best explanations of any other problems in the book. Better than the solutions manual, right? The solutions manual, it shows you some step by step, but it's not as good as the examples in the lessons. So that's, if you're struggling, when you've identified a weak area, go back and look at the examples in the lessons. Here is what's crucial. For every kind of problem, what you need to know is, what is my first step? If you know how to take that first step into a problem, you have a much greater chance of, the first step leading to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth. I use my hands a lot to gesture, and you guys can't see very much. But every once in a while I'm aware of it. Okay, so if you can make that first step in solving a problem, you're probably going to gain momentum and keep rolling. So when you identify a weak area, that's one thing to really test yourself on, is what's my first step? How do I begin this kind of problem? Okay, do more problems for your weak areas once you kind of get your a little bit of remedial study in. Do more problems. All those even number problems and all those homework lessons are just waiting for you. They're there for you to work, and you've got the solutions in the solutions manual. So do more problems to build up strength in your weak areas. And then here's an idea that some of my students used to do back in the day. I haven't thought of it in a while, but it's kind of fun. Have someone make you some practice tests. It doesn't have to be 10 items, but have somebody pick a handful of problems for you to do. It's a really great way to test that kind of randomness that happens when you take a test, because you don't know where the problem is going to come from, right? You just get a problem just drops onto your paper and you have to do it with no context. That's what's nice about practice tests, is it gets you to feel that I'm working out of left field kind of motion. A cool thing that my students have done in the past is they make little tests for each other. Super easy to do. You don't have to write out the problems. You can just be like, lesson 117, problem 11, right? And then pick a couple of them, and then send them to each other so that you can practice the test from each other. So, each one of you could pick, so let's just say 5 problems that you think are good, hard problems, and send the references to your buddies, and then everyone gets a chance to practice. You don't have to do it, but I just remembered that some of my students used to have quite a bit of fun trying to freak each other out with really hard problems. Okay, there's our prep for the final exam. If you have any questions, please ask me. Good luck, though you don't need luck, because I know you guys are solid students working hard. It's been a weird year, but you're still in there scrapping away with me, and I really appreciate that. If you have questions on the process, if you have questions on any particular lesson, reach out to me and we'll figure it out. Okay, that's all. Bye.